pitches. We'll see quite a few changeups this afternoon because that's a plus pitch for the youngster. But at age 20, just to be in the big leagues after pitching an A-ball last year, that is remarkable. Let's take a look at the defense this evening behind Porcello, presented by Chrysler and Jeep Superstores. New look outfield. You've got Anderson in left. You've got Clete Thomas in right. Of course, Granderson anchored in center. The infield reads Inge, Santiago, Polanco, Cabrera, and Laird is back behind the plate tonight for the second consecutive night.
And it's another nice night for baseball here in the Motor City as we get you ready for the Twins and the Tigers. Game 2 in this series and the second of 18 meetings between these two ball clubs. They'll be battling it out in the Central Division, as will Kansas City and Chicago. Should be a great race this year in this division. Porcello ready to go to work, and his first pitch is a strike. Denard Span leading it off. He is batting .323. Missing down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. It is 66 degrees here at game time this evening.
Great weather.
Sunshine still covering a couple of the outfield positions. The shadows along the infield. And Porcello missed low again. 2-1. Here's how the field will play early on in the game tonight. Different look to the Tigers starting lineup, as we talked about it at the top of the show. There's a strike right at the knees. Anderson flashing the sunglasses out there as he opens up in left.
He also puts his glove up to try to help him against the sun. It's a tough field here in left field as far as the sun is concerned, first couple of innings. So he's got that big old glove up there trying to help him out a little bit.
Curtis doesn't need him, apparently. Porcello started the windup and Span stepped out on it. Denard has 7 stolen bases in 7 tries this year, so it would behoove the Tigers to keep him off the bases. And that slap to third. It's a foul ball just outside of the bag. Span has speed to burn, and he has taken over that center field position. We talked about the fact that last year we saw Carlos Gomez, a very talented player, playing that position. They've got some options with the departure of Torrey Hunter.
They've got a crowded outfield. They've got the 3 starters tonight: Young, Kadire, and Span. And Gomez odd man out right now.
Chop to the right side of the infield. Routine for Cabrera. Ooh, he had to hurry, man. Span was coming down the line.
Minnesota plays the game one way, and that's 100% all the time. They play the game hard. They play the game the right way. They respect the game of baseball.
Well, it segues into the next batter, Alexi Casilla. And Ron Gardenhire said after the game last night, he said that he really thought about taking Casilla out of the game after he did not run that bunt out in the first inning that resulted in a double play. But he thought that let's talk to him an inning later and keep him in the game, and he would go on to have an RBI hit later in the game. But he really thought about taking him out.
Well, he's had some mental lapses this year defensively, and one of the reasons why he has is because he's off to a slow start offensively, hitting just 163 right now. So like most young players, when you're not doing well offensively, you tend to take that out with you into the field. Therefore, you don't make plays.
And that's one of the reasons why Gardenhire said he didn't pull him, because he just didn't want to pile on. He knows he's been struggling.
Great heads-up play by Edwin Jackson. Jackson recognized very early on that Casilla wasn't running, and he also knew that Span, who was on first base, had to stay there because he knew the ball could have been caught. That was just a heads-up play by Edwin Jackson.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Alexi Casilla. Just underway here at the ballpark tonight. There's Edwin, who I think for the most part last night deserved a better fate.
He has not been getting a lot of run support. Hopefully that will change.
The numbers really don't look as good as how he pitched last night. 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. Swing and a miss. Casilla did not look comfortable there with that swing. 2 gone in the first strikeout for Rick Porcello. That'll bring up Joe Mauer.
I'm still trying to figure out how the Minnesota Twins won that game last night in Mauer. Went 0 for 5.
Well, you know, until he made his fifth out last night, I didn't realize he had an 0 for going. You just expect this guy has a couple of hits at least by the end of the game.
Majority of his hits since coming to the major leagues have gone to left field and up the middle. He is not a pull hitter, nor does he try to pull the baseball. He will take that base hit to left field all day, every day. Which is why you have to pitch him in. You pitch him in hard, you speed his bat up with some fastballs, and then you go to some soft stuff, some changeups, some breaking balls, and he's looking for that fastball in, and that's when you can get him to roll over a ground ball to second base or first base.
Porcello early on in this one, for the most part, has been right at the knees or below, and that's a good sign. He will induce his share of ground balls with that heavy sinker that he has. Still a work in progress, as many of the Tigers coaches will tell you. But at age 20, that is to be expected.
He's got a lot of talent.
Swing and a miss, and he has just struck out Joe Mauer. His second strikeout of the inning. He fans Casilla and Mauer. Nicely done. Of strikeouts, and here's a different look lineup tonight for the Detroit Tigers. Josh Anderson will lead off. He'll play in left field. Polanco batting second at second base. Clee Thomas was called up. He'll hit third and play right. Cabrera is at first. Granderson is playing in center field and batting sixth, or fifth rather. Maglio batting sixth, the DH. Inge, Laird, and Santiago are your bottom three tonight. Bernstein Advantage brings you the scouting report on Nick Blackburn. Get the Bernstein Advantage. We go to bat for you.
And Blackburn's last couple of times out, he has pitched very well and won both of those games, but he spins his wheels here at Comerica Park, comes in 0-2. Tigers do a pretty nice job against him. Tigers will also want to force him into getting the ball up in the strike zone. 31 induced double play ground balls last year for Blackburn. He finished second only to Mark Burley, so make him get the ball up. He's got a nice little power sinker.
And Josh Anderson will lead it off for the Tigers. I normally see Granderson in this spot, but Anderson will take his place for this game. 326 average. And he pulls this one on the ground to the second baseman, Casilla. One gone. So Blackburn is able to keep the leadoff man off the bases. And that'll bring up Placido Polanco. Be interesting to see how this lineup performs tonight. Even Jim Leyland said before the game, I have no idea how these guys are going to do, but that's kind of my job as the manager. When things aren't going as well as you want them to, you've got to shake things up every now and then. Polanco takes a strike.
One of the things that the youngsters must do, and I'm talking about Thomas, who's in the on-deck circle, and also Anderson, they need to play their game. If bunting's part of their game, then they need to go ahead and bunt to make sure they get on base. Because I know Jim would love to get those guys on base so he can do some running with them.
There's Clete Thomas waiting on deck. Check the count, 2 balls, no strikes. That first pitch missed. Polanco has hit safely in his last 4.
And Blackburn stands very tall on the mound and has a little hesitation once his left foot comes up, which allows the arm to get on top and create that downward plane, which allows him to get lots of ground balls at the bottom of the strike zone.
There's a walk for Polanco.
Here you go, standing very tall, a little hesitation once the left foot comes up, which allows the arm to catch up, and now he gets on top, right over the top, which creates good movement down in the strike zone and also a very good plane for Blackburn.
So here is Clete Thomas, who really got off to a slow start this year at Toledo, but was coming on of late. Still was batting only .236 upon his call up. But he showed last year in his stint with the Tigers, which lasted about 40 games or so, that he can hit at this level.
He can do some things. Had Tommy John surgery last year, didn't he?
He did.
And missed the majority of spring training. He only played about the final week of spring training in the field, therefore really had no chance at making the team out of spring training. But Jim Leyland likes him a lot. He likes his speed. He likes the way he plays defensively. He also likes his arm strength throwing from the outfield. You saw that 1 home run there by Clete Thomas. Guess who he hit it off? You guessed it. Nick Blackburn.
There you go. I'm glad you told me. I didn't know. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Well, Thomas walked into the clubhouse today. He walked by the lineup, which was posted on the wall. He stopped. He looked at it. He took another step, stopped, looked at it again, and said, yeah, I guess that's my name in the 3 spot there. He had to do a double take. He wasn't sure.
Granderson had to do the same thing in that 5th spot today.
The 1-2. Drilled in the air, right field, hit well. Kadire going back, turns on it, it's off the wall. Polanco coming to third base. They're going to stop him there. And Clete Thomas back to the big leagues with a double. He almost hit another one out against Blackburn. So Leyland at least pushes the button correctly here in the first inning.
Looked like a slider that was flat and just stayed up and allowed Thomas to get out in front of it. Kadire had no chance at catching this ball, but he plays it nicely off the wall. Gets it in a hurry, which prevents Polanco from scoring on the play. But a nice start, 2009 for Clete Thomas.
First double of the year, 2nd and 3rd. Now the big man coming up, Miguel Cabrera.
This is where you have to score runs. You have to score this run.
It's driven foul.
That's one of the things that Cabrera has been awesome at this year. And that's making contact on the very first pitch. He has not been bashful. If you throw him a strike on the first pitch, he is looking to do some damage. And his contact to damage ratio this year has been off the charts.
Hard ground ball hit to third, bobbled by Creedy. His only play is to first. That'll get the run in. Polanco scores to make it 1-0.
Creedy would have come home had he not bobbled that ball. He's about as sure-handed at that position as you'll find in all of baseball. He is that good down there. But he picked his head up ever so slightly. Once the ball got to him, Polanco was going on contact and he was able to score. Ball was hit hard. He looked up at the wrong time, therefore he had to go to first.
Boy, everything off the bat of Cabrera these days is sizzling. That's an RBI, his 19th. Tigers with an early lead, and here is Curtis Granderson. We've talked the last couple of years about how eventually Granderson would be batting lower in the lineup because he is or can be a run producer with his power.
You know, I did a piece the other day kind of comparing Granderson and Grady Sizemore. It's a nice play right there by Blackburn. Punto sneaking in behind him. It's a planned play. But anyway, and at the end of the piece, Ryan Field asked me, he said, do you see any of these guys hitting down in the order anytime soon? And I said, well, It depends on the makeup of the ball club, but I did not anticipate it would be 2 days later.
That's real soon. Well, when you talk about the makeup of the ball club, the Tigers have some speed now, and that's part of the makeup that you like to have in that leadoff spot in Anderson, and that's how it's lined up tonight.
He also wants to take advantage of what Granderson's been doing early. Granderson has eight home runs, and he's driven in 18. So, and Leland trying to shake up some things to see if he can wake this offense up.
He checked it. Did he go? Did not. Well, the one odd thing about Granderson, I guess there are a couple of odd things. He's hitting .324, I believe, against left-handers this year, which is something that always gave him difficulty. But he does not have a triple yet, which is very odd for Grandy.
Yes, he's led the American League the last 2 years in triples.
Fought off a pretty good pitch there, 1-2. But he's been driving in runs and hitting homers. An exciting player. Tigers get a run and a walk, a double, and a ground out. The 1-2. Right back up the middle and stopped nicely by Punto. Throws him out. What a play by Punto, who was shaded toward the bag, and he takes a hit and an RBI away. That's a great play. Your Motor City Dodge dealers. Comcast, keep in touch with Mom this Mother's Day with Comcast high-speed internet. And by Arby's Bacon Cheddar Roast Burger Sandwich. Try it today. It'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's. Back here at Comerica Park, and a beautiful night for baseball. Tigers have a quick 1-0 lead for Rick Porcello. He faces Justin Morneau to lead things off, then Kubel, then Creedy. 1-2-3 first inning for Porcello. Morneau takes a breaking ball and grounds it to first. One gone.
Talked about Punto last night at the shortstop position. Has as much range as any of the shortstops in the American League. But on this particular play, he had Granderson play perfectly. You see him directly up the middle. The reason for that is Granderson has 16 base hits to right field this year, only 3 to left field. Therefore, if you're Punto, you know Granderson's tendencies are that he's going to pull the baseball, and he played him perfectly.
Boy, did he. Took an RBI and a hit away. Terrific play by Nick Punto. Then again, we've seen that over the past couple of years, over and over and over. Jason Kubel is the designated hitter. He was 1 for 3 in the ball game last night.
How about Jerry White back in that first base box tonight?
They say he was taking quite a bit of ribbing from his team after going down with that foul ball last night.
He's a gamer, though. He's back out there.
That's drilled to center. Base hit.
Well, this is what happened to Jerry White last night with Joe Crede in the batter's box. Late on a fastball, and White couldn't get out of the way. Went down like he got shot.
Fortunately, it hit him right below the ankle.
He was in a lot of pain as they walked him off the field.
Well, he's back out there tonight. That's the good news. And here is Crede, who did the damage last night to Mr. White.
White has that stopwatch. Bright stopwatch in his hand, like so many first base coaches these days. It used to be where your bench coach and someone in the dugout would have the stopwatch, and they would be timing the pitcher just to see how quickly he got the ball to home, which would tell the base runners whether they could steal a base or not. But now, so many first basemen carry the stopwatch around.
Ground ball to short. This could be two. There's one. Here comes the relay. Easy double play. Taylor made. Santiago, Polanco, and then on to Cabrera. 6-4-3. Pitcher's best friend. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Bell Tire. Trust us, will make you happy. You came in. That's a promise. AT&T, your world delivered. And by Aflac, we've got you under our wing. Back here at the ballpark, Tigers leading it 1-0 over the Twins, and Nick Blackburn back to the hill as Maglio Ordonez leads it off. Brandon Inge will follow, then Gerald Laird. That's it the other way off the end of the bat. Morneau on the backhand. Blackburn will cover. One away. Still seems like everything going the other way for Maglio. That'll bring up Brandon Inge. Inge had his streak come to an end last night, reaching base in 24 consecutive games to start the year. He was 0 for 4 in the ball game. Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball popped up. Let's see if it gets back in the seats. It will. Top of the dugout. 0-2 on Brandon. What was Liriano good last night?
He looked like the Liriano of a few years ago, before the Tommy John surgery. Fastball was electric. Every strikeout that he had came on the slider. One changeup, I believe, but no strikeouts with his fastball. He had an unhittable slider last night.
It was impressive. It was really impressive.
And they needed that out of their talented left-hander. Opening day starter. 9 punch-outs last night for Francisco.
Grounded to the shortstop. Punto gobbles up another one. 2 gone.
They better try somebody else. This is what Francisco looked like last night. Just a little taste of it. Tigers would like to turn the page on this. And I don't blame them.
That's the play that Guillen tried to kick the ball. They were trying everything last night. Liriano was good. Tonight is a new night, though. The Tigers have a 1-0 lead. Gerald Laird will step in, trying to perk up his bat. He's won for his last 20. That was after a red-hot start for the Tigers catcher. Average is leveled off a bit now at 254. Blackburn's 1-0.
Yeah, the one thing that we did hear about Laird after the Tigers acquired him, that he was a top-notch defender. And he has been that first month of the year, handling the pitching staff flawlessly for the most part.
I remember in my days in Anaheim talking with Mike Scioscia about catchers, and he always felt that their main job, at least in the get-go, is to handle the pitching staff, call a good game as Laird gets a walk. And any offense you can get is a bonus. That's for most catchers. Obviously, you have your elite catchers like a Mauer or Pudge Rodriguez in his heyday that can give you some terrific offense. But it's such a big part of the game in handling a pitching staff and calling a good game.
That's why Scioscia was such a good catcher, and that's why Scioscia's a great manager, because he had that kind of mindset.
Well, here's Santiago now with the 2-out walk. Second walk given up by Blackburn. Strike one on Ramon. Everett started last night. Santiago gets the call here tonight. Every putout so far has been on the ground for the Twins defense. That's a little bit off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Santiago also got out to a quick start. 11 RBIs in the month of April. He gave the Tigers a lift out of the bottom part of their lineup. Hammers this one fair down the right field line. It's going to get to the corner. Laird coming to third. Let's see what they do with him. They're going to try and score him. Here comes Laird to the plate. No throw. It is held up. It's a double and an RBI for Santiago.
I don't know if they would have thrown Laird out at home plate had Casilla, the second baseman, come up firing toward home. But those are some of the mental lapses that Ron Gardenhire is talking about. That ball absolutely whistled down toward right field. I think like Kadir got to the ball before it got to the wall, but he got it back in. He got the ball to the second baseman, Casilla, and then Casilla hesitates. As Laird's going home, he hesitates ever so slightly, and then once he sees he's coming home, it's too late to throw.
Well, I think they had a chance to get him.
You think so?
Yeah, I really do. But the Tigers score the run.
See, as a second baseman there, you have to kind of know exactly what's going on, because the crowd will tell you whether the guy is scoring or not. Really, all you have to do is listen to the roar of the crowd in that situation. And if you're the second baseman, Casilla, you know Gene Lamont has sent him home, which means you've got one job, and that's to throw the ball home.
Anderson loops one toward left field. Shallow on the charge. Young. It's going to drop. Base hit and roll by him. Santiago scores. Anderson goes to second. He'll pull in there, and the Tigers lead 3-0.
So far, so good for this new look Detroit Tigers offense, at least for tonight.
Off to a nice start.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That ball gets in the hands of Anderson, and Young gets caught in no man's land ball gets by him and allows Anderson to get the second. And you will not see Delmon Young do that very often in the outfield. He's a top-notch defender in left field.
7 RBIs now for Josh Anderson.
And we told you coming in that Nick Blackburn, his last couple of starts were really good. But he has not pitched all that well in this ballpark.
Single E7. Well, his struggles in this ballpark continue. By the way, give Anderson an RBI. And now with him in scoring position, let's see if Polanco can deliver a 2-out hit. Breaking ball is in right at the knee, 0-1.
All this started with a 2-out walk.
And that was to Gerald Laird. Here's a ground ball hit to the right side. Casilla unable to smother it. Quick throw back to third. Anderson back in there, and everybody's safe. And the Twins looking like they're unraveling a bit here.
I don't know how they'll score that, but they may as well give him a base hit. That would have been a tough play. And for him to throw Polanco out, backhanding that ball going up the middle. But we'll see.
Well, he went down to a knee, which was going to make it difficult, I think, for him to come up and throw. But
after looking at the replay, he would have thrown him out had he not gone down and fielded it cleanly.
I'd score that an error. But we'll wait. Tigers have him at the corners now, and here is Cleat Thomas, who doubled his first at bat. That is an error, E4. Time called now. Mauer heads out to the mound, and Blackburn was cruising along. A couple of quick outs here in the second, then the walk, the double, the single, a couple of errors. Home plate umpire C.B. Buckner, not a whole lot of patience tonight. He immediately went out there, trying to keep this thing moving along. Minnesota came into this game with 10 errors as a team, which was the fewest in the American League, and they have committed 2 in this inning. Cleat Thomas was hitting .236 with 10 RBIs in 23 games at Toledo. .284 hitter here in the big leagues last year.
One of the things about a lot of these teams in the American League Central, all of a sudden in a one-year span, Mario, everybody's gotten younger.
That is lined to right field, sinking, and it's going to get by Kadire. Cleat Thomas off to the races. This is going to get 2 runs in, maybe more. Let's see. Thomas will be held at third. And the Tigers add a couple of more. Kadire tried to smother that ball, couldn't do it.
Cleat Thomas owns Nick Blackburn. If Kadire could do it all over again, he wouldn't leave his feet on this ball because you've got no help behind you. Once the ball gets past you and a guy like Thomas is running, he's going to end up on third. And I thought possibly that he was going to have a chance for an inside the park home run had it not been for Denard Span, the speedy center fielder, getting over there.
Wow. Thomas ends up at third. That has to be the most helpless feeling if you're an outfielder. You sell out on that play and you know that it's by you, and there's not a whole lot you can do.
Kadire is a solid defender in right field as well, but we've seen a couple of miscues by and large, a fundamentally sound defensive Minnesota club.
5-0 Tigers.
Rick Anderson, their pitching coach, out there with Blackburn trying to slow the game down. That's what happens at this level. Every now and then in the major leagues, the game just speeds up so fast. You need your pitching coach or your catcher or your shortstop to slow you down a little bit, get you back on track.
Here's Cabrera trying to knock in another. It's a 4-run inning for Detroit. Miguel bounced out very sharply to third, knocking in a run back in the first. There's a base hit into left. Bring another run in. Thomas will score. Boy, this lineup is cooking tonight. You talk about some energy, which is what Leland wanted. Anderson, Thomas at the top. They've given this team some energy.
Cabrera has simply been taking what the opposing teams want him to take. Everybody's been crowding him inside with good two-seam fastballs. Therefore, he's become more of a pull hitter this year than he was last year. Tons of base hits already this year for big Miguel Cabrera to the pull field, which is left field for him.
It's a 6-0 ball game, and here's the ninth man to bat in the inning. Lee Thomas wearing a big old smile. He's halfway to a cycle.
Tigers on the other side of one of those lopsided innings.
Granderson had a hit and an RBI taken away in his first at bat.
It's been so many times this year where the opposing team has put up a crooked number.
Yeah, nice to see a 5 spot for the home team here. They bat around against Blackburn. Leaving a miss. 2-1.
Good pitch there by Blackburn. 2-0 with a dangerous hitter up in Granderson. Pulls the string.
R.A. Dickey is now warming up in the Minnesota bullpen.
The knuckleballer.
Former Texas Ranger. 2-1 pitch. 2-2 on Curtis. And again, all of this started with a 2-out walk to Gerald Laird. Bouncing ball right side. Morneau has it. That's going to be it for the Tigers here in the second. 9 men at the plate, 5 runs in. Good start tonight for Detroit. To work with, and Rick Knapp talks about what he needs to develop in terms of his secondary pitches.
Right now his change is much more usable than his curveball, and you're probably going to see a pretty good share of them tonight, being they're pretty left-handed hitting lineup here. So, you know, the curveball, it's coming. I don't know that it's there yet. It's going to constantly be a work in progress. But I would say his number 2 pitch right now is his changeup. And I would think that he's probably going to be 60% strike with that.
He's already thrown an outstanding changeup in this ball game to one of your better left-handed hitters in all of baseball, and that would be Mauer. That ball just simply faded out of the strike zone with real good arm speed.
He struck Mauer out to end the first inning. He's pitching now in the third with a 6-0 lead. Michael Cuddyer leads it off for Minnesota. Cuddyer, then Young, and then Punto.
It will be very important for Porcello to continue with the same game plan that he had coming into the ball game, even though he has a 6-run lead. Don't just start pumping fastballs in there, and I'm sure Gerald Laird knows as much. He'll keep the youngster on track.
Toward left field, Josh Anderson is there. One gone.
That's what Porcello has the ability to do with that two-seam fastball. Even though the velocity is 90 to 92, it's the late life, it's the movement which allows that ball to get in on good hitters like Cuddyer. Shattered his bat.
Here's Delmon Young.
And to some of you that may not know, some of the ways that you create late life with a two-seam fastball is simply by the grip that you have on the baseball and the pressure point that you're putting on the baseball with your two fingers that are on the ball, your index finger and your middle finger, in this case with Porcello. Four-seam fastballs across the seams, that's a straight fastball, but when you want that two-seam life, you hold the baseball a little differently.
3-0 now on Young. Delmon hit .290 last year. .266 so far this year. Was hitless last night. He's taking a strike. 3-1. Young, the former Tampa Bay Ray, former first-round pick overall of Tampa a couple of years ago, and he has taken a walk. First walk for Porcello, second base runner for the Twins tonight. Now Nick Punto. A couple of years ago, you might remember that Ozzie Guillen, the manager of the Chicago White Sox, nicknamed the Minnesota team. Punto was the kingpin of that nickname. Punto and the Piranhas. And this guy could just go out and play, and he's already made a nice defensive play in this game tonight.
Ozzie was a little upset the next year, too, because they were selling T-shirts named Punto and the Piranha.
Did he get a cut?
He did not.
I'd be upset, too. Need to trademark that next time.
He sure should have.
1-1 on Nick.
Speaking of Ozzie Guillen, Zach Greinke did another number on the Chicago White Sox last night. He's 5-0, Mario. He pitched a 9-inning shutout again.
It's really kind of incredible. Not that you couldn't expect something like that out of Greinke.
Is he 6-0 or 5-0?
I think he's 5-0. His ERA is the most impressive.
.40.
That's unbelievable.
I think there's only 3 pitchers in the history of the game that after their first 5 or 6 starts that haven't lost with an earned run average that low, and he is 6-0.
6-0, yeah. Halliday's got 5 wins. 0.40 for Greinke in the ERA category. That's skied in the air. Left center field. Anderson waiting for it. Josh will haul it in, and there are 2 gone. Top of the order now, Denard Span. Tigers already have 5 hits tonight. They had just 4 all of last night. I think Leland has gotten the answer to his question. I don't know what to expect tonight out of this new lineup. We'll wait and see. Well, a 1-run first and a 5-run second. The early returns on this new look lineup tonight. Span is 0 for 1 with a bounce out. Had a 4-hit game last night. It was his second career 4-hit game. Bender misses outside. 1-1. That's the pitch that Rick Knapp was saying still really is kind of under construction for Porcello, the curveball.
They're trying to tighten it up a little bit. That last one was a big breaking ball. They want it a little bit tighter.
One and 2 on Span.
He threw that fastball right by Span.
Span was given time, I mean, at the last split second.
That's the second time Span has done that in the game tonight. He did it his first time up as well. He made the mistake of stepping out of the batter's box before he even got timeout.
He's lucky CB gave it to him. Two and two on Denard Span. Former first rounder of the Minnesota Twins back in '02. Was 20th overall that year. Outstanding high school football receiver as well. And he takes low, run it full now, 3-2. So Cabrera alerts Porcello that he's playing behind the runner now. On deck, Alexi Casilla. Lifted in the air to center. Granderson started back. Now he's bolting in, and he'll make the catch.
It's nice to be fast out there.
Nothing doing. They got a one-out walk. Strand man. Still 6-0 Detroit.
Goes under the lights in Darlington, South Carolina, where Kyle Busch is defending champion at one of the circuit's most legendary racetracks. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing from Darlington begins Saturday at 7 in high definition on your local Fox station.
Nick Blackburn trying to shake off a 5-run second, goes back to the mound in the third, and he will face Maglio Ordonez. Ordonez, Inge, and Laird, the same trio that opened it up in the second inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Blackburn last year won 11 games. He made 33 starts, so he went out there every 5th day.
Led all rookies with those 33 starts, and also pitched more innings than any rookie as well. Close to 200.
And he got the ball in that tie-breaking game against the Chicago White Sox on September the 30th.
Pitched well in that game, too, against John Danks.
We're going to see those White Sox beginning tomorrow. Well, for the second time. I've already seen them. 1-2 on Maglio Ordonez. Make it 2-2. Maglio 0 for 1, ground ball. 0 for 5 in the series with an RBI. There's another bouncing ball right to Punto. What did you say last inning? Try someone else.
Exactly.
1 out. Hey, tonight after our game, we send you out to Anaheim. Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinal series. Red Wings and Ducks. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. with Red Wings Live, followed by the game at 10:30. That's Red Wings playoff hockey presented by Del Tire. Later tonight on Fox Sports Detroit and Fox Sports Detroit HD. We'll try and go up 2-1. at the Honda Center tonight. There's a ball down low to Brandon Inge. Inge 0 for 1 with the bounce out. Well, Brandon's power has certainly been up in the first month plus of this season. He's third in the American League with 8 home runs.
Looks like Blackburn starting to settle in a little bit with that two-seam fastball that he also features. Running it inside to Maglio, and then that last pitch to Brandon before that breaking ball. Also good moving two-seam fastball. It's not how hard you throw. It's the kind of movement you have in the strike zone.
Hit to third off the glove of Creedy. Can't find it. And Inge is aboard. The Twins have already committed 2 errors tonight. We'll see how they rule that one.
I'm so used to Creedy just catching everything. Me too. Down that third base. Once he got to the ball, though, his feet stopped. Watch his feet. That's why you have to continue to move your feet. He stopped with his feet instead of going over one more step, which would have made that an easier play for him. And he wasn't able to pick it. If your feet are still moving, that allows you to make adjustments with your hands. Flat-footed, it's tough to do.
That is the 3rd error of the night for Minnesota, E5. Again, they had the fewest amount of errors in the American League coming in. Gerald Laird had a walk that started that big old rally in the second for the Tigers.
While Blackburn has been on the mound this year, there's been 3 stolen bases against him, and his catchers have not thrown anyone out while he's been out there, and Mauer has not thrown anybody out since coming back just a few days ago.
Drill run every now and then. Brandon has 1 this year, and a couple of years ago he stole a career high 9.
Brandon could steal more than the 9 bases a year if Leland allowed him to. He's got decent speed, not a burner, but he's got decent speed.
The 3 errors tonight for the Minnesota Twins ties a season high. They had 3 against the White Sox in a game in early April.
So they've really made a big chunk of their errors in just 2 games.
That's it. 6 out of the 13. 2-2 on Laird. Blackburn gave up a run in the first, and then that big 5-run second inning, which was marred by a couple of errors. There were 2 earned runs. 2 of the 5 were earned in that second against Blackburn. It's gone to 3-2 now on Laird. Santiago had a big RBI double in the second. He's on deck. And he walked. It's the second walk of the game for Laird.
Hey fans, the Tigers offer the best value in sports with the $5 tickets, $5 parking, and $5 kids and adult meals. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com for the best value in sports.
Well, they're getting the telephone working. Rick Anderson, their pitching coach, chatting with the bullpen. Here's Santiago. This is just kind of a continuation of what Blackburn has done in his career. Just has really struggled on the road. 4-11 lifetime in his road starts. 1-1.
His stuff works very well at the Metrodome on that artificial surface. Lots of ground balls, lots of double plays last year. 31 of them to be exact while Blackburn was on the mound. That's a lot of ground balls.
Desperate for one right here. Fouled away. R.A. Dickey is again warming in their bullpen. Well, you got to believe that before this thing is over, Minnesota will have their say in who wins the Central. I mean, this is a team that won 4 Central titles in the last 7 years. They lost that playoff game to the Chicago White Sox last year. The 1-2. Got him. Strike 3. Santiago is out of there.
Central this year in the American League is evenly matched. Good fastball there by Blackburn. There's no perfect team. A lot of good teams. And sooner or later, one of the teams is going to get hot and to put some distance between themselves and the pack. But it may not be until summer.
Here's Anderson. 1 for 2 with an RBI. By the way, we were talking the other night, Rod, about Anderson being from a small town.
Yes.
And you asked if they had
named 400 people, right?
It's about 400 people.
Right.
Eubank, Kentucky. You said, I wonder if they've named a road after him. Guess what?
No.
They have.
No way.
Josh Anderson Way.
He's got his own way?
He does. I asked him yesterday. He's got his own way. But he said that his folks listen in every night, so we want to give a shout out to Patty and Alan, his parents, and his brother John.
Look at you giving out shout outs.
Oh, yeah. I know that's your specialty, but every now and then. Here's the 1-1. And they have to like what they're seeing tonight. Josh with an RBI single and a run scored.
He's a good kid.
Great kid.
He's a good kid. His parents did it right.
Very, very well grounded. And he talks about how once his baseball days are over, he'd just like to work on their 150-acre farm, a cattle farm. And he does it in the off season and really enjoys it. The 2-1. 3 balls, 1 strike.
He's got himself in a really nice hitter's count now.
.65 pitches now for Blackburn here in the 3rd.
Tigers game plan today, given to them by Lloyd McClendon, has worked to perfection.
Ground ball right to the first baseman. Knocked down by Morneau. Blackburn hustles over there. That'll retire the side. Tigers get a couple of more runners. They strand 2. We go to the 4th. Our question is, how many Mexican-born players are currently in the major leagues? That is your Cinco de Mayo version of the Aflac trivia question tonight. And we'll get you the answer.
Where's your sombrero? I thought you was going to bust out your sombrero
I don't have a
for
sombrero.
Cinco de Mayo Day.
I don't have one. Do you have one?
Those your Coronas back there on ice?
I can't believe you said that. Nothing but water back there in the fridge, my man. Nice try, though. Here's Alexi Casilla to lead it off as we go to the fourth. Porcello has given up just one hit so far, and he delivers a strike to Casilla.
The young man looks good. He's got margin for error. He's got a 6-run spread and continues to attack the strike zone.
He struck Casilla out back in the first inning, one of the 2 that he picked up in that frame.
It's fascinating that this time last year he was pitching in A ball.
It's amazing. And not too far removed from high school. Pitching in the Florida State League, he won the ERA title. Florida State League considered a high A league, so high schoolers that pitch in that league aren't expected to do that well.
Well, last time he toed the rubber against the Yankees, there was some young gal here that was asking him to go to her senior prom.
That's right. I forgot about that. Did he ever respond?
I doubt it. Looking awfully good out there today. That's that movement on that 2-seam fastball.
3 strikeouts for Porcello. Here's Joe Mauer. He struck Mauer out to close out the first inning. Bouncing ball back toward the second baseman. Polanco throws him out. Another ground ball out. 2 up, 2 down. That'll bring up Justin Morneau. Porcello has the same appearance whether things are going well or going poorly. Never really shows a whole lot of emotion. There's a ground ball hit the other way. Backhanded by Santiago. Nice play. Had him play the pull, and he had to backtrack for that one. 1-2-3 inning for Porcello, Polanco, Thomas, Cabrera coming up. And tonight it is Cinco de Mayo, so our question is, how many Mexican-born players are currently in the big leagues?
10.
I think more than that. Ooh, close. 16.
16.
And we will share with you some of the names in a moment. Polanco lofts one toward left field. Delman Young coming in. 1 pitch, 1 out. We're going to go 2 groups of 8. Here's the first group.
Soria, Oliver Perez, Dennis Reyes, Meziga.
And here's the second group of Ocho. Yovani Gallardo.
He can pitch.
We just saw Ramiro Pena of the Yankees. 16 of them. There's a ball down low to Cleek Thomas, who has a double and a triple. Is the cycle in his future tonight? Halfway there. The 1-0 pitch. Cleek called up today. If you missed the announcement before the game, Carlos Guillen was placed on the disabled list with inflammation in his shoulder. There's a line drive to left field, base hit. There's your single. Thomas 3 for 3, single, double, triple.
He's going to have at least a couple more at bats to try to complete that cycle. Look at Jim telling him to get a big lead. Is he going to let him run? Jim was talking about that before the game. He said Anderson, for sure, if the situation presented itself, he would allow him to steal a base. And he also said that Thomas, he would allow him to run too, but he would pick his spots with Thomas. Thomas had a huge lead, and that delivery by Blackburn was slow and deliberate. And yes, you can run with a 6-run lead in the 4th inning. That's not too many. Seventh inning, 8th inning,
Different story.
maybe not.
Although I would always argue with that old baseball rule that really how many runs are ever enough? I mean, I know if a game is like 20-2 or something like that, but baseball is a game without a clock, which means you can always come back.
It's a great point.
So, I mean, what is too many?
You never know. I guess what most managers look at is kind of the feel of the game when it's late.
True.
And as a manager, you kind of know when you're beat. Even though you won't say it, you just kind of know if the other team is kind of dominating you and they're going to go on to win, depending on what their bullpen situation's like and different things like that. So,
and you can even get that feel if it is, say, 5 or 6-0.
Yeah.
Where you know that, well, you know, this just isn't our night.
I mean, they've already made 3 errors. They've only made 13 all year. This may not be their night.
The 0-2. Cabrera swings and drills it high. He drills it deep, and that ball is gone.
Woo! That's a big fly.
A moonshot for the big fella.
Caddy, stop it.
They are whooping up on Blackburn tonight.
That's one of the farthest balls I've seen hit the left field since I've been here.
Agreed.
This thing was absolutely crushed. He leaned on it. When you hit him that far, you may as well admire him. That's long distance. Oh, he crushed that.
Got it all. Every ounce of it. In fact, when that ball landed, it might be lopsided. 440 feet on that home run.
It's the furthest one I've seen hit the left field.
Raw power. 8-0. And for Cabrera, his 7th of the year. He also has a 9-game hitting streak. Anderson sends one high in the air to right field. This one is picking up steam. Kadire back to the wall, and he won't get it. It's gone. First row. Granderson goes back to back with Cabrera. He just snuck it out. Ron Gardenhire says that'll be enough. Check, please.
And Jim Leyland ran this lineup out there with Anderson leading off, Thomas third, Granderson fifth. And boy, has it looked good tonight.
That's going to be it for Blackburn. A Wallside Windows pitching change. We're in the fourth inning of a 9-0 game, and we'll be back. They have a 9-0 lead over Minnesota. Back-to-back home runs, Cabrera and Granderson. And the new look lineup looking pretty good is R.A. Dickey now will check in for Minnesota.
And 13 2/3 innings so far pitched for Dickey this year for Ron Gardenhire. 10 walks, 10 strikeouts. Opponent's batting average .345. And yes, he is a knuckleballer.
Here is Maglio Ordonez. Still only one out in this inning. And a ball inside. Maglio is 0 for 2, couple of ground balls. Tigers now have 9 runs on 8 hits. And also, Rod, we just need one more home run for free Arby's tomorrow.
Really? That's big.
That's huge. Need one more long ball. So it's a little bit of an adjustment, I would think, when you have a guy like Dickey coming out of the pen who throws that knuckleball.
Huge adjustment. You have to go to that softball swing, softball approach, and softball mentality.
Another ground ball hit to the right side.
If you see it high, let it fly. And if it's low, just let it go.
That is the knuckleball mantra for hitters.
They got to get Maglio going.
Somehow, some way.
They're working on it. Maybe Chicago will do it. He always performs well there.
It's a really good point. He gets fired up to go back to Chicago.
He performs well there. But he also performs well here at Comerica Park. He's been working on it. He's taking some extra batting practice. Trying to work on some things with his hands, front shoulder.
I'm willing to bet he'll get it going.
Oh.
Numbers don't lie.
A proven track record.
In Joe for 2, reaching on an air in his last at bat. Cuts and misses. And R.A. Dickey comes out of the bullpen to quiet it down. But a big inning for the Tigers. They go back to back. First, it's Cabrera. Long way to left. Then it's Granderson. He goes to right. Detroit is brought to you by your Chrysler and Jeep Superstores. And by Wallside Windows. We can do that. We are the factory. Back here at Comerica Park. What a night tonight for a ball game, and what a night for the Tigers' new look offense. At least for a night, the Tigers have a 9-0 lead. And meanwhile, on the flip side, plenty of offense for Rick Porcello. And Rod, you've talked about the differences between the two-seam fastball and the four-seam fastball. Porcello has looked really good so far tonight.
Well, first and foremost, when you're throwing a two-seam fastball, you kind of spread your fingers ever so slightly, and you kind of hold the ball with the seams, as you can see there. And then when you throw the four-seam fastball, you kind of go across the seams here to throw the four-seam fastball to get that riding effect, which allows the ball to go straight. Two-seamer, a little life there that way. Four-seamer straight.
That is stroke to center field, and that is a base hit. Leadoff single for Minnesota.
One more time. Here's the four-seamer. You're holding it across the seams here. Then you got the two-seamer. You turn it over this way, which kind of creates the movement. You don't get as much velocity with the two-seam fastball as well. And Porcello has an outstanding two-seam fastball.
So more velocity with a four-seamer, more movement with a two-seamer.
Yes, indeed. That must have been a four-seamer right there that Kubel hit.
Porcello facing Joe Crede. Twins have their second hit. Rick had retired 3, 4, 5 in a row prior to that base hit.
Kubel's got both of their hits, doesn't he? Sure does.
You're right.
And both of them in the same spot, right back up the middle. Really, which is the kind of approach that you need to have against a guy that's got some pretty good movement with his fastball.
Crede hit into a 6-4-3 double play his last time up.
Crede likes hitting in this ballpark. 15 career home runs here at Comerica Park. The majority of those home runs hit while playing for the Chicago White Sox.
That's a shallow pop-up.
As a matter of fact, he's tied with Jermaine Dye with those 15 home runs for visiting players.
Yeah, he has made this ballpark look awfully small. At least he did when he played with Chicago.
I was shocked he hit that double down the right field corner last night, because just about everything that Crede hits and has hit in this yard has been the left field. Dead pull hitter.
Here's Kadire. Heard an interview with Ron Gardenhire before the game today, and somebody asked him, did he ever think, or did he consider bunting Crede in that position last night? And Gardenhire said no. He goes, this guy's a proven power hitter, and we just thought he'd get the job done, and he did. That's a nice pick by Santiago, and a nice turn by Polanco. Another double play. Nicely done. Santiago, Polanco. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit. Presented by Bell Tire. Fifth inning reminds us that today is Cinco de Mayo. Be sure to grab some ice cold Corona or Corona Light, the perfect holiday for Mexico's favorite beer. Relax responsibly. Corona. Celebrating Cinco de Mayo here at the ballpark. A lot of sombreros out here. Some ponchos and some made up beards.
I think his stash is coming on.
Let's roll to second base. Laird is going to be out. Casilla throws him out, one away. Nice. Is that done with magic marker?
Having a tough time sipping on that Corona.
Make sure it stays on.
Stash won't stay on.
Santiago slices one foul, 0-1. Amazing how many ground balls the Tigers have hit tonight. 10 ground ball outs. Only in the fifth inning. Santiago had an RBI double. That was in the biggest inning tonight, the 5-run second for Detroit. And he tipped it right into the glove. So Dickey has come out of the bullpen. He has fanned two. He's gotten a couple of ground outs. He's faced 4 batters and retired all 4. And that'll bring up the top of the order now, Josh Anderson. Anderson 1 for 3. RBI single back in the 5-run second. He's hit safely now in 11 of his last 13. Jeff Larish also called up along with Clete Thomas before the game here tonight. Clay Rapata sent back down, and Carlos Guillen went to the disabled list.
Yeah, Jim said he's going to give Carlos obviously at least 2 weeks, and he's hoping that with the therapy that he gets while the team's on the road, it allows him to get right. You could just watch Carlos the last week or so, and you could tell he just wasn't right.
Now, the numbers, I think, agreed with that. I mean, he probably, if need be, could have continued to play, but really, what's the point? I mean, he was struggling in terms of his health, trying to get him right and get him back.
He's very valuable to this team and will be as they move forward in the Central.
He fought that one off on the ground to third. That's going to stay fair. Creedy has no play.
That's that speed. Nothing Creedy could do.
Infield hit for Anderson, his second hit of the game.
Anderson, above average runner. And the way that ball was hugging the line and Creedy having to come in and make a do or die play. Absolutely no chance at throwing Anderson out. Creedy even tried to surround the ball, which would have given him a little momentum going back toward first base, but he wisely ate it.
They'll play behind the runner. Polanco stands in. Placido has scored twice.
We were talking last half inning when the score was 6-0, and Clete was on, that it was okay to run still at that time. Now, no. 9 runs in the 5th. You don't want to wake the Twins up.
What if it was 6-0 here in the 5th and they played behind Anderson?
You could run.
You could run.
You could run.
Chopper hit back up the middle. Casilla with a flip, and they just got the force. Side retired. Tigers get another hit, leave a man. We go to the 6th on Cinco de Mayo.
Go to start a quick 2-game series against the White Sox. Coverage begins at 7:30 with Tigers Live. That's Tigers Baseball presented by Bell Tire tomorrow night on Fox Sports Detroit. And they'll be looking at Mark Buehrle. He's off to a nice start this year. Armando will have his work cut out.
Minor and Contreras in the final game of that series. Porcello back to work as we go to the 6th, and he falls down as he delivers that pitch. That was scary looking.
Usually when something like that happens, your cleat gets caught somewhere. Leland jumped up on that top step.
He sure did. His heart skipped a beat.
It sure did. Start walking up them steps.
Good pitch.
I'm sure David Dombrowski's heart skipped a beat too. And everybody else that loves Tigers baseball.
Delmon Young walked back in the 3rd. He's leading things off here in the 6th. 9-0 Detroit. Back-to-back homers in this game by Cabrera and Granderson. Big 5-run second. Punto and then Span to follow here in the 6th. That's off the end of the bat, and that one bit Gerald Laird. Porcello has been helped out by 2 double play balls that he has induced tonight, one in the 2nd and one in the 5th. After Kubal's singles in both innings. Rolled toward the shortstop, Santiago. One away. By the way, happy 50th anniversary to the Ilitches. 50 years of Little Caesars Pizza. And they're celebrating that this year, and some great photos from years past. And apparently, Rod, we met some of the franchisees before the game here tonight. There's about 1,000 of them in attendance tonight.
Yes, indeed. Said they're having a really nice time here in Detroit. And 50 years is a big deal. That's a long, long time to be in business and to be as successful as the Ilitch family has been.
So congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Ilitch.
That pizza's good, too.
It sure is. It never hurts. Little snack in the middle of the game. 1-1. Nick Punto. Punto flied out his first time up. Not off to a very good start offensively. He is now 0 for his last 10. And the average of 208. Pulls this one on the ground to second base, right at Polanco.
I'm sure Punto will tell you he doesn't appreciate that his batting average is just a tick above the Mendoza line, but he can play some defense, and he probably saves his pitching staff tons of runs during the course of the year with his dazzling play at that shortstop position.
Yep, I don't think there's any doubt. Over the course of the year, he saves a lot of runs. There's another ground ball hit slowly to second. It's going to be an easy inning for Porcello. 3 ground ball outs. Man, he's cruising tonight. Rick Porcello shut out through 6. Thomas, Cabrera, Grandy coming up.
Sixth inning now is time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. Going to take you back to the fourth inning where Cabrera and Granderson played long ball. Cabrera hit his ball 440 feet from home plate and knew it was gone as soon as he hit it. And the very next batter, Curtis Granderson, that hits a home run to right field. Back to back. Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Well, here's Clete Thomas, single, double, triple. A home run away from the cycle.
He's going for it, too.
Looked like it on that swing.
Absolutely.
Why not? 9-0.
You always hear people talk to guys after the game, and they ask them, did you know you needed a home run for the cycle? And guy, nah, I wasn't paying attention. Please.
I wasn't paying attention. You're not buying it, are you?
No. Not buying it.
Carlos Guillen had the last Tigers cycle back in 06. That was in Tampa. Thomas has a terrific shot here. He needs the home run. Almost hit the homer in his first at bat. Off the wall and right. The 2-1. Chopper hit slowly towards second. Casilla on the bare hand. Nice play. Thomas is out.
That was the only way that he was going to be able to make that play, was to barehand it. If he takes the time to glove it and then try to exchange it to the throwing hand, Thomas gets himself another base hit. Tremendous concentration here by Casilla. You catch that ball in the palm of your hand, you transfer to the fingertips, and you flip it on its way to first base.
Here is Cabrera. He drills another one. This one to right center field, and that ball is down. It's away from Kanayer. It's backed up by Span, and into second base with a double is Cabrera.
Cabrera came into the game hitting .650, 13 for 20 with 3 home runs when swinging at the first pitch. We talked about that earlier. That might be an E there.
Oh, I didn't know he got his glove on.
I did not either. I saw him kick it. But that's remarkable. .650 on the first pitch that he swings at so far this year.
That's his third double, and he gets another first pitch hit. 10th hit of the game for the Tigers. That gets away from the catcher Mauer, and Cabrera will amble down to third base. It is a pass ball. Knuckleballers will do that to you.
Tough to hit, tough to catch.
See that different glove that Mauer has with Dickey on the mound, the knuckleballer. Almost looks like a first baseman's glove.
I believe someone asked Jim Leyland today when he was meeting with the media, did he move Granderson down to this number 5 spot to provide some protection for Cabrera? Unless you got Albert Pujols hitting behind you, there is no such thing for protection for Cabrera.
Or as Jim said, the only guy that can protect Cabrera is Cabrera, and we don't have 2 Cabreras on the team.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter who's hitting behind him. If they don't want to pitch to you, they're not going to pitch to you. And that's one of the things that Cabrera has shown an uncanny ability to do as a very young player when playing for the Florida Marlins. He put up monster numbers in the years that he spent there in Florida, and he had no protection whatsoever in his batting order. So he's a guy that really doesn't need it. He kind of knows when you're pitching to him, when you're pitching around him, and just kind of does what you allow him to do. He's a smart hitter.
And that little slide he was in didn't really last too long. He is heated up again now, a 9-game hitting streak. Mauer really struggling to stay with Dickey here. He's been all over the place. 3-2.
And Cabrera, when he was scuffling a little bit, the teams were really pounding him inside with hard fastballs. They weren't strikes. And he was trying to hit him.
Randy homered in his last at bat. That signaled the end for Blackburn. The last batter he faced. That's when R.A. Dickey came out of the bullpen and took over.
The majority of Granderson's hits this year, and 8 of his 9 home runs have come to right field this year. And once he learns to go the other way, you will see Granderson hitting 300, 315 every year. If you want to have batting average, you have to learn to go the other way. You have to use the entire field. But right now, the power is working.
9 home runs. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. 2 outs. Well, groups have more fun at Tigers games, that's for sure. Group tickets are on sale now for all home games, including June homestands against the Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. For tickets, call 313-471-BALL or online at tigers.com. And did you know, Rod, that Paz turned 14 years old today?
Really?
It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Paz.
14.
He's getting up there in age. Doesn't look a day over 10. Constantly having pictures taken with fans. Maglio trying to get it going. He is 0 for 3.
Paz is as popular as you here at Comerica Park.
Maybe more.
No.
Paz takes more pictures and signs more autographs. Fouled away. 1-2 count. Maglio hitting .235 now. He's 0 for 7 in the series, has an RBI. Trying to pick up Cabrera here with 2 outs. Tack on another run. 9-0 Detroit. That's right in front of the plate. That's a fair ball. And Maglio is out to retire the side. So Cabrera doubles, does not score. We go to the 7th. Still 9-0.
The Detroit Tigers at tigers.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic Tigers gear, including clubhouse caps, t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, and more. Get your Tigers gear straight from the source at tigers.com. You think they got them sombreros? at Tigers.com?
With the Old English D on them? It might. Check it out. Get online.
Get us one for Cinco de Mayo
next year.
Next year.
There's a sinking liner into right field, base hit right in front of Clee Thomas.
They have done a lot of swinging at the very first pitch. The Minnesota Twins the last 3 innings, but they really have not had a whole lot to show for it.
So Joe Mauer is going to be taken out of the game. Mike Redmond is pinch hitting. And he will stay in and do the catching for Minnesota.
Yeah, it didn't look like Mauer was having a whole lot of fun catching
no.
R.A. Dickey. And I guess Gardenhire noticed as much.
Well, you hope that's the case and not that his back is acting up for the Twins' sake.
For baseball's sake. He is good for baseball.
Porcello might have gotten himself another ground ball double play. There's one. Relay. There's two. It is indeed another double play.
I like the way that Polanco uses that second base bag to protect himself from the base runner. It's hard to slide over the bag and still take him out. And meanwhile, Santiago is playing some kind of shortstop today. He can sit for 5-6 days, and then when Jim puts him in, he's flawless at that shortstop position. Look at Polanco protect himself. Casilla couldn't get to him.
Ryan Busher is batting for Justin Morneau.
Polanco does that as well as any second baseman in the American League.
Leland was talking the other day about the fact that Polanco is out there and they got the little routine. Leland goes out there and hits him a lot of ground balls during batting practice.
Every day?
Every single day. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And I guess for a guy like Santiago, you mentioned that, you know, he could sit for 5 days and come out and give you a defensive game like tonight.
But he always gets his work in too.
Right.
He takes extra ground balls every single day with Rafael Belliard. He and Adam Everett.
That's how he can do it.
They come out early too. They take it before batting practice, and Everett was telling me the other day the reason they do it before batting practice is because they don't want the distractions of trying to get out of the way of balls that are being hit during BP. So if they're about 15 minutes early, they're out there every single day.
There's a walk to Busher. By the way, speaking of Belliard, did you know that in 1987 on Cinco de Mayo, Rafi hit his first big league home run off Eric Shaw in San Diego?
Off Eric Shaw.
And it was a Cinco de Mayo.
Rafi could play some defense too. His nickname was Pac-Man because he gobbled him up.
By the way, his next home run was 10 years later. Rafi was not known for his power, obviously. But boy, could he play some defense.
He could pick it. He's a good instructor, too.
Jason Kubel, the batter. That's grounded just foul outside of the bag. Porcello tonight has gotten a bunch of ground balls, and he's gotten 3 double play balls.
He's touched 94 today and has gone as low as 74. That's a nice differential. That's the art of pitching. Changing speeds. Keeping the ball out of the center of the plate.
And a shallow left field. It'll drop. Base hit. So Kubel is 3 for 3. We mentioned that Porcello lasted just 3 2/3, his shortest outing of his young big league career in his last start against the Yankees. Much better tonight. I mean, his pitch count's in great shape. Pitching here in the 7th. Exactly what Leland was hoping for.
You forget sometimes that Porcello is just 20 years old.
I think that happens with a lot of prospects. They are so highly touted. They have some success in the minor leagues, and you expect them, even at a young age, to bring that success to this level. Creedy, the batter. 2-0. And Leland now is going to stop things and make a trip out to the mound. 2-out walk and a hit. There is some action in the Detroit bullpen as Leland makes his way out to the pitching mound. Brandon Lyon is heating up.
Don't know exactly how long they'll stay with Porcello, but this much we do know: they're going to watch his innings very closely this year.
Creedy is 0 for 2. And he takes one high. Now it's 3-0. And Rick in danger of walking the bases loaded here. There's a strike. Tigers tonight have out-hit Minnesota 10-4. Kadire waiting on deck. And there is ball 4. That missed. It's going to load him up. So after the double play ball, you get a couple of walks and a single. 3 base on balls for Porcello. You can see he's had quite a few quick innings tonight.
Yeah, that 4th and 5th inning, and just about every hitter that went to the plate for Minnesota, and even the 6th. Yeah, they were swinging at the first pitch and making outs.
Kadire hits a ground ball to short. Santiago gets the force side retired, so Porcello pitches out of the jam. We go to the stretch. Still a 9-0 game. Playoff hockey, here we grow again, and you can grow along for the ride. Just go to DetroitRedWings.com. Get your tickets to this Sunday's Game 5 of the Red Wings Ducks series. 2009 Stanley Cup playoffs. The beard is back. And don't forget, later tonight at 10 o'clock, it'll be Game 3 in the series. The Red Wings are in Anaheim tonight to take on the Ducks as that series continues. Hey, here we grow again. The beard is back.
Yeah, they are.
Couple of them. Brandon Inge leads it off as we go to the bottom of the 7th, and it's fouled back out of play.
Pops had a nice head of hair, too.
We have a new pitcher. It's Jesse Crane. Pops. Inge, Laird, and Santiago. We have other changes as well. Redmond stays in the game to catch. Mauer out of the game. The new shortstop is Harris. Brendan Harris is in. Here's the 1-1. And the new first baseman is Busher. He stays in the game. Ron Gardenhire going to the bench in a 9-0 game. Swing and a miss. Over 3 for Brandon tonight. Struck out his last time. That was against the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey. Missed it outside. 3-2. Full count pitch is fouled away. Final game of the homestand for the Tigers. The road is waiting. They will hop the jet after the ball game tonight. Take the short flight to Chicago. Start a series there. Swing and a miss. So Inge fans for the second time tonight. One gone.
So everybody's pretty much in a stretch of where they're playing these little 2-game mini series.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got the 2 here with the Twins, and then there's 2 with the White Sox, and everybody's pretty much doing that around baseball these days.
What do you think about those 2-game sets?
It's a shame we could only go to Chicago for 2 days.
That much is true.
Well, I guess they have to do it. I guess with the unbalanced schedule, they have to do the 2-game series, I guess, to keep things sort of even, I guess.
Yeah. You just get so conditioned to, when you travel to a city, you're in for 3 days at the least, sometimes 4 days.
We're fortunate that we don't have to travel that far.
Well, in terms of travel, this next road trip is going to be pretty easy.
Because Chicago, that's stress-free. And then once we leave there, we go to Cleveland, and that's not a bad flight. So it's not like we have to fly a long way.
Tigers took command of this one early, getting a run in the first and 5 in the second.
Even Lloyd can smile tonight. He'll sleep good tonight. Lloyd might sleep in his own bed tonight. He's from the Chicago area.
Well, what time do we get there? We get there
11:30.
11:30. Oh, that's right. You lose an hour. Forgot about that. There's plenty of time to get home. Gain an hour technically.
You got that street over there too, called Rush Street too.
Never heard of it, Rod.
Lights they own lake there.
What goes on in Rush Street?
Oh, they got great restaurants.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, great restaurants.
Got to check it out.
Real good restaurants.
2-2 on Laird. He's walked a couple of times. He's also scored a run.
At least that's what they tell me.
Yeah, that's what I hear as well. Always plenty to do in Chicago. You're talking about it being stress-free, except for your credit card. There's a lot of stress put on your credit card. Full count.
Mother's Day's coming up, so don't forget about the moms out there. This Sunday.
Roll toward third base. Creedy backs up on it. 2 gone. Well, this game is available in crystal clear high definition on Fox Sports Detroit HD, sponsored by Comcast.
Has it been in HD for the first 6 too, or just the 7? We just
it's been in HD the whole night.
Oh, okay.
We just got around to telling people about
just
it.
Wonder.
We need to just switch over to HD. Porcello's been in high definition all night, giving up just 4 hits, no run.
Crystal clear too.
There's a roller to first, deep behind the bag. Busher has it. Flip to the pitcher covering. Tigers go 1-2-3. 7 innings in the books. And Nate Robertson will come marching into this one.
tonight against the pesky Minnesota Twins team. He had 3 strikeouts, and most of them came early in the ball game. And one of the key pitches for me was a changeup that he threw to Mauer to strike him out his first time up. That's the pitch Rick Knapp said he would need today against Mauer and Morneau, and boy, did he have a good one. Also, 2-seam fastball darting all over the strike zone. Tons of ground ball outs today for Rick Porcello.
3 double play balls. There's a roller. Hit to the shortstop, Santiago. High thrown. He chucked it into the camera well. Delman Young is on. So Robertson gets a ground ball, but a throwing error on Santiago, and they'll give Young second base. Nate Robertson, the new pitcher now.
8th time now that he's been in the ball game for the Tigers. Nate's first couple of outings out of the bullpen were really good, and he has struggled a little bit the last few times that he's gone out there, but that's what happens when you're getting accustomed to a new role from a starter your entire big league career to now going to the bullpen. And there was about a week there where Tiger starters were going into the 7th inning every single game, which meant that Nate was getting bypassed, so he wasn't getting work in.
Yeah, it was a great problem to have, but Robertson had to do a lot of side work just to stay sharp. That ball is hit high to right field. Thomas under it. Young will move up. And Punto is out. Harris, I'm sorry. Harris is out. He replaced Punto. Top of the order now, Denard Span.
I was getting ready to say Punto must have gotten away from him the last couple at bats.
I looked down and said, did Punto hit that ball that far?
Doing some push-ups in the dugout.
Span is 0 for 3 in this game.
No, I like Punto. He's a great player. Good player.
Denard had a 4-hit game last night, but is hitless tonight. Twins trying to get on the board. 9-0 Detroit here in the 8th. Only 4 hits tonight for this Minnesota offense. The Tigers have 10.
It's all about starting pitching. Whoever has the best starter that night usually wins the game. Last night it was Francisco. Tonight it was Porcello.
2-1.
That's why people make the mistake of asking Jim all the time, who's the ace of your staff? And Jim will say, the ace of my staff is the guy that's pitching tonight.
Yep. That's where it all starts. Three and 1. Well, by and large, the Tigers starting staff has done a very good job this year.
They have one of the best starting rotations in this division.
Well, especially with Verlander coming around.
Oh, boy, did he come around.
His last 2 have been lights out. You know, for the most part, the relievers have done their job as well. Their ERA, the bullpen's ERA was 3.93 coming in.
They've surprised a lot of people with their pitching. And really, it's just like it was in 2006. They had some nice pieces.
There's a walk.
But then they added Verlander and Zumaya. And just like this year, they added Porcello and Ryan Perry. And then some of the other guys just stepped up. Kenny Rogers had a great year. Verlander was Rookie of the Year. Robertson and Bonderman pitched very well.
Nothing but smiles these days for Verlander. There's a pop-up. To the grass goes Polanco. This will not score the run. And there are 2 gone, so Casilla with a lazy pop-up. That's going to bring up the catcher, Mike Redman.
Redman is a quality backup catcher. Quality backup catcher, and has been a backup catcher pretty much his entire big league career. Backed up Charles Johnson in his early days in Florida. Also backed up Pudge Rodriguez on that Marlins championship team.
Make a pretty good living being a backup catcher in the big leagues.
Played for Jim Leyland in that Marlins organization. Now he's backing up Mauer. It's a good gig if you can get it.
Robertson's 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. The inning started with the error. Young went to second. Fly ball moved him up, a walk, and then a pop-up. Two and one.
And Redmond's also one of those guys that I would not be shocked, Mario, to see him managing at some point in time when his career's done.
Really fits the profile. He's a catcher. At least the profile these days. There's another one that misses 3-1. So many catchers have gone on to manage in the big leagues, but he's just one of those guys that's been around the game a long time. Certainly knows the game. And I think Mike Scioscia said it best when he was asked, why do so many catchers make good managers? It's because catchers have to manage games when they're out there, when they play. They are involved in so many facets of the game that they understand a lot of the different facets.
It's good to see Morneau still hanging out in the dugout, even though he's been taken out of the game. They've got a quality group down there on that first base side.
There's another walk, and that's going to load the bases. So Redmond is aboard. Second walk in the inning for Robertson. Twins have loaded the bases in each of the last 2 innings. They'll bring up Brian Busher. Ball one. And now Laird heads out to the mound. Back up in the bullpen is Brandon Lyon. He was warming up a little bit earlier. Lyon signed by the Tigers before the season started. Many thought he would be the closer, but Fernando Rodney has done a nice job in that role. Ground ball hit to second base. Polanco gobbles it up, and that is that for Minnesota. So they threaten, do not score. They leave them loaded. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, standing the test of time since 1849. Here's our Comerica Bank game summary tonight. All Tigers. 9-0 is our score. That 5-run second inning, boy, was that big. Back-to-back homers by Cabrera and Granderson. Clete Thomas still has a shot in this half inning, as a matter of fact, to get the cycle. Single, double, triple. He needs the homer. There's Clete back up from Toledo for the first time this year, and back to the Tigers with a bang. So here's the top of the order now. Josh Anderson, 2 hits in this game plus an RBI. Strike one from the new pitcher Craig Breslow.
Comes in with an earned run average north of 8 in 6 2/3 innings, and one of the reasons why is he's walked 9, struck out 6. That is not like any Minnesota Twins pitcher.
Well, walks are forbidden. Swing and a miss. He takes care of Anderson. And 1 out. The Twins bullpen has done a pretty good job here tonight. The Tigers doing all of their damage against the starter Blackburn. They haven't gotten much going against Dickey, then Crane, and now Breslow. Placido Polanco bats. Slices one to right center field. That's down. He'll take the turn and hold up.
That's what you love about Polanco. He does not give his at-bats away. Really doesn't care what the score is. 9-run spread. He's going to get his knock.
That is 9 hits now for the top 4 hitters combined with the Tigers lineup, and Clete Thomas has 3 of them. Single, a double, and a triple. Trying for the cycle here. He grounded out in his last at bat. And he takes a big rip. "11 Tigers hits. That one missed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Breslow's got a good arm. He's not a real big fella out there, but he's 90 to 92, and through Thomas, an outstanding slider. .61, 181. He doesn't look that tall now.
I don't think he's 6'1". I guess he is, but it sure doesn't look it. 2-2 on Clete. Larish has moved to the on-deck circle. He was called up today along with Clete Thomas. 2-2. Ooh, 3 balls, 2 strikes. You can tell the crowd realizes he's going forward here. Three balls and 2 strikes. And he lost him, ball 4. And here come the boos. That'll put runners at first and second. Here's that move today, or the moves the Tigers made.
And Carlos Guillen going on the 15-day disabled list with right shoulder inflammation. Jeff Larish called up along with Thomas. Clay Rapata going back to Toledo.
And hopefully it won't be much longer than 15 days for Mr. Guillen, but they want to make sure that he's fine and not coming back too soon.
Tigers went from a team that had no left-handed bats to a team that's got quite a few now.
That is true. Larish is one of them.
You know, I was saying earlier in the ball game how a lot of the teams in our division have gotten a lot younger. The Chicago White Sox have somewhat gone to a youth movement with their new shortstop, Alexi. Ramirez, and they've got the kid Getz playing at second base. Young in center field as well. And just the Cleveland Indians were here a couple of days ago, and they made 3 roster moves as well. The day they were here, called up those young kids from the minor leagues, Laporta, Valbuena. So the division's getting younger.
That Getz kid, a local kid here in the Detroit area. Larish cuts and misses. That's going to leave it up to Granderson now. 2 gone. Second strikeout for Breslow. Well, it seems to be the way the game is headed. You know, a lot of good young players coming into the league, and I guess if you can play, might as well run them up here.
Kansas City, also a young club with all the nice draft choices they've had the last few years. It's a young division.
You got these teams all have their veteran cores, guys that have been around, guys for the White Sox like Thome and Dye and Konerko, of course the Tiger veterans.
Your big boys.
Your big boys, that's right. Cleveland at the Hafners, although he's on the DL.
They got Victor.
Lauer, Morneau, Minnesota. It's nice to have a blend. Of course, it's hard to tell at one point in a guy's career you call him a veteran and not a young guy anymore. 2-0 on Granderson. He homered back in the 4th, and Curtis now with 9 home runs.
These young kids are hungry.
He skied that one. Shallow right field. Kadire coming, but Casilla is there, staggers and makes the catch.
That's a tough play.
Made it nicely. Tigers will strand a couple, and we go to the 9th, leading 9-0. Last call for the Minnesota Twins as we go to the 9th inning on Cinco de Mayo. It's also Pa's 14th birthday, and it's been a nice celebration here tonight with a 9-0 lead. And the Tigers trying to salt this one away, and they have the former Minnesota Twin Juan Rincon on the hill now.
Yeah, 7th time now that Juan has been in the ball game for the Tigers. Comes in 1-0, 9 1/3 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 6 walks, couple home runs. .297 batting average against.
First pitch breaking ball is a strike to Jason Kubel.
Rincon was lights out in spring training this year for the Tigers. He made the 25-man roster as a non-roster invitee.
Whistled foul down the right field line.
You know, we talk a lot about the back end of the bullpen, and we always talk about Bobby C. and of course Ryan Perry and Zumaya and Rodney, but if they can get this guy straightened out, and he can somehow recapture some of that magic he had while wearing a Minnesota uniform, that bullpen will be lethal.
Right to the left fielder Anderson, one gone. Well, Rincon had so many nice years with Minnesota. You're right, if he can recapture what he was able to do there. He pitched for them from 2001 to 2008. You know, consistently, like most of those guys out of the back end of their pen, came out and made 70 appearances or so every year.
And was very good at it, getting the ball to Joe Nathan.
Joe Crede, the batter, hitless tonight. They had 3 straight years with Minnesota of 70 or more appearances. Bouncing ball right back to the mound. Nice play by Rincon. And there are 2 gone. So 1 more out to go, and the Tigers can move to 14-12. $23,000 plus, almost 24,000 in attendance here tonight. Michael Cuddyer, the last chance for the Twins. Cuddyer is 0 for 3 in this game. Two balls, no strikes. Strike call. 2-1. Ground ball hit to third. It's a fair ball. No, it's a foul ball. He called it a foul ball.
That's a nice job by Inge, though, completing the play. You don't know what the umpire is doing behind you. You can't see the foul sign unless he's talking to you, but Brandon just continued to finish the play anyway.
Good call down there by Brian Gorman. 2-2. That's going to go foul. Rincon following Robertson in this game, who followed Porcello, who is outstanding tonight. Right back up the middle. That'll keep the game going as Cuddyer comes up with a 2-out single. And that'll keep it going now for Delmon Young. Only the 5th hit tonight surrendered by Tigers pitching. Porcello went 7 shutout innings. Here's Young. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Swing and a miss. One ball, one strike on Delmon Young. Tigers 11 hits tonight, 5 for the Twins. And the 1-1. So Rincon now has this reduced to 1 strike. And here comes the crowd again. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. The Tigers pitch a shutout tonight, and they win in convincing fashion. 9-0 the final score, as Rincon closes it out, and the Tigers will finish up this little 2-game series with a split of the Twins.
It's always nice to get a win before you board the plane and head on the road, that's for sure.